Yes. Welcome to Renewed Mind Revolution podcast with your host, Michelle Cookall. As always, it is my honor, it is my pleasure, it is my delight to be able to share some tips and tools with you that I know that will assist you in becoming a better you. Look, you guys, you are here at the right place at the right time. You are tuning in, not by accident, not by coincidence, because I don't believe in that. I believe that it is divine that you have tuned in to Renewed Mind Revolution podcast to receive something that you need. So if you go into this podcast with that mindset of, okay, I'm tuning in here because there is something that's going to be said, something that's going to be given and related to me that I can use, that is going to help push me to the next level that I need to be at to become a better me, to improve, to refresh. Just look forward to something that you know is going to help you today. And that's what this is about. Listen, we are currently in the month of May. The month of May has now been set aside for mental health month. So look, this is perfect for us. We're going to discuss some different scenarios and issues and concerns that you might be having as we are continuing in the month of May and still dealing with a little bit of the pandemic in other countries more fluent than others, but definitely it's still there, but improving slowly but surely. So that's a good thing that it's improving and we're seeing a light at the end of the tunnel, in which we knew it would come. We spoke about it all last year as we all faced this very crazy dilemma, but we were very optimistic in understanding that this too shall pass and things will get better. So we're so glad to hear that in some type of aspect this is improving and things getting better. I know in my state it is getting better. The numbers are down and things are improving. So a lot of the area is now being open. A lot of the attractions, a lot of the restaurants, a lot of the activities, schools, etc. So things are opening up, salons and everything. So things are opening up. So what I want to bring to your attention, though, is something that I heard that is going on with the mental health concern when it comes to the opening up of everything. Now, it's really ironic that when we faced the pandemic, people were having a very hard time adjusting to being quarantined, being alone, or, not doing the everyday things that they were accustomed to. Now, after being in that type of state for over a year, people are now having a very difficult and challenging time adjusting to things being open. They're becoming overwhelmed, having to do things that they necessarily didn't have to do for a year and a half. I know where I live, I have noticed something, that the streets seem to be extremely crowded, because people are now coming out, and that can be overwhelming when you are used to, not so many people going out, not so many people engaging with one another, but now the store is a little bit more crowded, and people still, believe it or not, have this very lingering feeling of protecting themselves from COVID, even though they're wearing the mask and might have gotten vaccination shot. They still are very leery being out in public around a lot of people. So what we're seeing is people who are facing a lot of reservations about being amongst people in crowds of people, or going back to some what they used to do before, readjusting to that. And that's, something that really was not expected, because you kind of thought that everybody was ready to get back to the norm and, get back to the flow of things. But people are finding some some adjustments to that. People are kind of struggling, not, everybody, but there are people who are having a very difficult time. And so what they're facing with this challenge is anxiety. What they're facing with this challenge is, having a fear of being amongst, a lot of people, or, being in environments that they have not been in for over a year. So these are just some of the things that I want to bring to your attention, so that if you happen to feel, a little unnerved, a little uncomfortable, being in a crowded environment, or, more crowded than what you've been accustomed to for over a year and a half, just understand that you're not alone. There are other people who are kind of making a very tough adjustment. Also, I was just speaking with someone who actually, is a therapist, and we were discussing regarding individual people who are struggling with all of the different changes, in our society. There's a lot of activity, criminal activity, a lot of threats. It's like every day is something that is being brought to our attention. For us to be concerned about. So when you're now in public, you're kind of, people find themselves like watching and being more aware. Their awareness is heightened because of all of the things that's happening now in our society. There is a rise in carjackings. There is concern about sex trafficking. Women are constantly being reminded of how to protect themselves and how to, watch out for sex traffickers in our communities. So these are like just constant. The gun violence is extremely high right now. You're forever being surrounded by, some form of mass shooting and in public places and stores and bowling alleys, and I mean it's just so much, and this is just constant. And so once again, you guys know what I feel about when you constantly feed yourself all of this, different things. I believe in being aware, but I never condone being consumed by it, and just feeding yourself this 24/7, because it will affect you. No matter who you are, no matter how strong you are, no matter what, it's going to affect you. So what we're seeing is individuals who are now being affected by all of this. They are on guard. They are nervous. They are concerned when they are in public, because you never know. I spoke to this person, and they said at one time they really weren't concerned about like carjackings or shootings, because it wasn't close to where they were. But now the reality of it is it's everywhere. So that brought them a concern. And, and so the reality of it is we should never think that it couldn't happen in our community. In any community, it can definitely happen. In any situation, it can definitely happen. But we cannot live in fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of the if, right? The if, we talked about that before. What if? We can't live in that state of mind, because it will, what? It will consume you. And so we try to talk about, in this podcast, exposing. It's all about exposing things that people are thinking, people are feeling, what people are dealing with every day. Every day. It might not be you, but someone next to you, someone next to them is dealing with exactly what we talk about in this podcast. And so when we expose this, number one, the person in yourself or whoever it is will not feel isolated. Because I always talk about, if a person feels isolated, which means they feel like it's just them, then they feel defeated. They feel like, it's just me. It's always me. I'm all alone, and they feel defeated and consumed. But when you realize that you're not the only one, there are other people who are dealing with the same things that you're dealing with, having some of the same thoughts, same concerns, same fears that you are having, or that your friend is having, or that your family member is having, or whoever is having, then it kind of makes you feel a little better. It lifts that off of you just a little bit when you realize, hey, I'm not the only person. And how do we know that? Is when we share, right? So when we share. So whenever I get anything and I'm hearing anything that's going on, I try to make sure that I bring it to you guys so that we can address it. It's like the elephant in the room. We want to address these concerns. We want to address these fears. We want to address these little hiccups that come in our lives so that we can become a better person, a better you, a better me. So I really wanted to bring to your attention about the readjustment into society, the readjustment after the pandemic. Being able to be in an environment that you have not been in for a year and a half or so. Some people have not been in their office for this whole time, and so now they get the opportunity to go back to their office. How are you going to adjust to that? How do you go from being able to kind of, getting from your bed to your computer, not doing anything to prepare yourself besides grabbing some breakfast and getting your day started? Now you have to get up, get dressed, and get into the car and drive, and these are things you didn't have to do for a year and a half. So how do you adjust to that? That readjustment. And so I remember, even a time when I was working and I had you have a vacation and you're like, say you're going for like a week, that little time frame, having to readjust to go back to work was a huge thing. Or those who went off on leave, a maternal leave or whatever, going back is an adjustment, right? So imagine, what kind of adjustments some people might have being gone for a year and a half, having to go back to the office and deal with the office politics and all these things that they didn't have to deal with before. So we want to make sure that we're addressing this, because I don't want the shock factor, of you getting to in a place and wondering, what is this feeling that I'm having? What are these thoughts that I'm having? What are these fears or these concerns that I'm having that I didn't expect, right? Well, understand that you might experience some things, but you're not the only one. And it just because it happens to you does not mean it has to consume you. Okay. Even people who go into the stores, we've been going to certain stores. It's been kind of, slow, not very crowded. You can walk through the aisles. The lines are not long. Then now we're getting to the point where, because, there are more people can come into the store, and more people are getting out, stores are crowded. Like I stated, the streets are definitely crowded. And I was so shocked by that, because I'm expecting something to be going on. I'm looking for, some type of emergency on the street, or, some type of, anything that would have caused so much traffic. But no, it was nothing. It's just more people are out. More people are taking advantage of the open, everything being open. And they're taking advantage of what we had been having, which was some very good weather. And so, which is great. Get out there and get that vitamin D. You guys know I believe in that. I believe in getting your vitamin D and getting that sun shining on you and all of that. But it's just an adjustment now, because before you can go out and it's not a lot of people, not a lot of cars on the street, and now there's such a backup, so much traffic. It's just really, really surprising. And I thought it was just me until my local news actually stated that there are more people on the street and that traffic is coming back. So it's just the opening that is now happening in our community. And the thing is, the more the things open, the more people will have to adjust to being back in this environment. Some things, of course, you're very excited. You have anticipated it to open. You are looking and have been looking forward to it opening. But for some people in some environments, it will and it is challenging. And so this is something that I heard that has been a big factor in the mental health um, a community, those who are professionals, are saying that that's a big issue. It's people readjusting, people becoming overwhelmed with having to, get back into the flow of things the way was before. It's something now that they are finding to be challenging for them, and they're experiencing a little bit of anxiety for there. Some people have been fortunate, and they have been out in it from the very beginning nonstop. I have family members that have worked the entire time outside of the home for the entire pandemic, and so they have been in the streets, they have been in the stores, they have been everywhere, going to work every day. And so that for them is no real adjustment, except the traffic, because they too have now noticed there is more traffic. But there are those, like I stated, who not only have been at home from their jobs and working from home, they have probably had things delivered more to their homes than getting out, trying to be safe and cautious. So going back out there, for them has been challenging. And so just be mindful if this is you, if you find yourself having to go back to your office, if you find yourself having to, readjust your whole plans and your whole everyday routine again, because some people might go to work to the office, but their children are still at home, because in most places, children have a choice to stay home for the remainder of the year or go back to school. So if your children are at home and you have to report to the office, then there are some type of adjustments that you're going to have to make, right? So these are changes, these are challenges that come with the reopening of everything. But this is a good thing because we have talked, you and I have talked for an entire year of every change that we saw in 2020. I mean, we talked about everything that was happening in our communities, injustice, to the everything. I mean, we talked about everything. And I try my very best to encourage you, to let you know that things will get better and it was going to improve. Just stay steadfast. Don't let go. Keep pushing, persevere. That was our motto for 2020. And I remember our last podcast for 2020, when we made it to 2021. I just was, so grateful to be able to say that to you guys, that we made it to 2021, because I knew that there were so many people who felt defeated in 2020. I had heard so much negativity, and so many people who felt like this is it, this is the end, there's no recovering from this. And to be able to come together with you guys in 2021 and say, look, we made it. Look, you're okay. You survived it, right? I don't like really using the word survival, because we are victorious, but you made it. And so even now, as I talk about the reopening that we are finding ourselves in, I'm just so grateful to know that even from this point, that it's going to get better. It's going to get better and better and better and better. And you're going to go from greater to greater to greater. And I'm excited for you and your future. And I hope that you're excited for your future as well. I want you guys to don't be hard on yourself. That's something that I say to you, because I have to be reminded of that to myself, is don't be hard on yourself. Do the best that you can, and don't forget to give yourself credit. I share with you what I have to share with myself, right? I encourage you as I encourage myself. Is we have been through a lot as a community. But we made it. We made it. And what's so awesome is I'm talking to you in the month of May. and it's almost the midpoint of 2021. And it's amazing to me the progress that we have made so far, and so much more that we have to go. We're going to be able to do this. We're going to do it. And just recently, I shared with those who follow me on different social media platforms about the wonderful testimony that we all are going to have when this is over. You're going to have a great testimony from what you've endured. You're going to have a great testimony to help somebody else out and to share with them how you pushed when you thought you had nothing left, how you were able to persevere when you thought that you were, at your last breath, like this, have no more energy, I have no more to give, and then here come strength. You're gonna have a great testimony, and you're gonna be able to help somebody else. That's what this is all about, ladies and gentlemen, helping someone else. And so, as always, it is my honor and it is my pleasure to be able to come to you on a weekly basis, share some tips and some tools with you that I know will assist you to becoming a better you. Today was all about acknowledging Mental Health Month. We will continue to do this. I will be able to share some information with you guys that I feel will help you as we address some of the issues on this topic, taking away the stigmatism from it, because I never want anyone to feel embarrassed about what they're going through or what you're feeling. It's and feeling embarrassed will keep you from getting help. And if you need help, seek your help. Get the help that you need. You owe this to yourself. You owe it to yourself to be the better you. And so some people need to talk. Some people need to share with other people, And so if you need to, receive help, if you feel like you're in a place that you've never been in before and you don't understand how to get out of the place that you're in, if it's a very bad place, seek help. Reach out to someone that you can trust. Seek out to a professional if need be. But do that for you. Take care of yourself. It's your responsibility to take care of yourself. You are no good to anyone. And I'm not, it doesn't matter how many people you are responsible for in your life, but you are not good to anyone if you don't take care of yourself. I am hearing more and more every day of individuals who are just really breaking down. And this is not the time to break down. This is not the time to give up. This is not the time to let go. This is the time to push and move forward. Push and move forward. I'm encouraged. I hope that you are encouraged too. Don't give yourself a hard time. If you find yourself out and you feel overwhelmed, or you're feeling feelings that you never felt before, just understand that you're not by yourself, because there are other people who are too found it kind of challenging to readjusting back into the community, after being quarantined and set and pull apart for over a year and a half. But just think about the joy now of being able to be with your family that you have not been, before. Your friends and celebrations and all the good things that come when we come back together, Those are things that I would prefer we focus on, those positive things, those good things, and not think about all the other negative things that, we're constantly being bombarded with in our news. They are there and it's not going anywhere. It's the reality. And we should always be aware, as I always say, but don't let it consume you. Think about more positive things. Think about more good things than negative things. That's the sum of what I'm saying. Think of more positive and good things than negative things. God bless you guys. Have an outstanding day, and we will continue to improve, to be better, and to reset, right? God bless you guys, and thank you for listening to Renewed My Revolution podcast with your host, Michelle Kakal. God bless.